It's also important that when we are creating our content for our children, we need to realize that their appetite for good quality work has actually increased.
That's right.
So it's important that whatever content we're creating for them is of high quality work that actually can stand at par with the globally. Yes, otherwise they will just turn away. In Nigeria here, we import all of our children's content. Nobody is looking to take content from a local media producer for children and all of that. They're not even looking at it. When you say, oh, I do children, they don't even want to look at it because they feel like it's going to be low quality work.
The #1 most viewed content on YouTube today is at 15 billion. And guess what? It's not a musical video, nor is it Mr. Big's video. It's a children content called Baby Shark. In fact, the top 5 most viewed content on YouTube are mostly kids content. But these contents that influence and shape our children's minds are mostly foreign, and many times has no local African relevance, nor does it embody our values.
The work you don't do today, you will do it tomorrow. It will still come and meet you tomorrow. It will come and meet you either in a sad tale or in a beautiful tale, depending on what you do today. So if we tell our children stories and ensure that they have the right values that they need to take them through life as adults, you will not have issues about weeping over them tomorrow or just running helter-skelter because they're in trouble or you just know they can find their own feet because you have created the right foundation.
Meet Bola Edwards, popularly known for her character called Grandma Wura. She co-founded The Proud African Roots, a media company that produces a world-class content for children using African Indigenous ideas and concepts.
Growing up, I used to watch a lot of cartoons. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite cartoons then is called Voltron.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Voltron.
Actually, my videographer would not know since I was new schools. So I used to watch a lot of
Defender of the Universe.
So that's because then when I go to school, there's this boy that always bullies me. Mm-hmm. He always bullies me every time. Then one day, I now watch this Voltron, how they defended the universe,
yes,
overcome, and then got to the So when this boy came to bully me that day I was like, I shouted, Voltron! Hey! I jacked the guy and he slapped him on the ground. I never forget that. So the Grandma Wura hat and just do us a quick story on Grandma Wura. Because this is not Grandma Wura. This is a gentle character. It's a Grandma Wura character. It's very different. Put on the Grandma Wura hat and do us a quick story.
All right. Hello, children. Welcome to Grandma Wura's Story Hut, where my stories give you wings and fly you on an African adventure. Today's story is titled, I Wish, I Wish. Once upon a time, there lived a little girl called Nkechi, who always wished that she was an ant. An ant? Oh yes. Nkechi wished so hard to be an ant and not a little girl anymore. Every time she would see an ant, she would say, look at that little ant over there.
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry for my videographer has gone. So, this is...
Tell you something you've never heard and blow your mind. Once upon a time I told you stories from Africa.
What informed the decision, Grandma Wura? Are you a grandma?
No, I'm not. My kids are still 15 and 18 actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so this is a future Grandma Wura.
She's a different character entirely. You see, I am very introverted. She's very extroverted. We are two different people.
Yeah, I can see.
But I have the honor of actually playing her.
This is interesting. But what really informed you choosing the name Grandma Wura? Because that is, first of all, Wura is not a very popular name. I know it's a Yoruba name. It's a really old Yoruba name.
Yes.
I just know about 1 or 2 persons that bear that name.
Yes.
So what informed the decision to choose Grandma Wura?
Okay, so basically, our journey, our work in what we do for children and for families has been that we want Africans, Nigerians to begin to see how much value of what we have as Africans is in our culture, in our dance, our music, in our proverbs. Those things are gold.
Yeah.
And so we needed a name that was really, that really showed that essence of the value of what we have. And you know, gold, you really don't know it's gold when you see it initially.
Yeah, when
it looks all covered up and all of that, and then you have to really hone, drill, work on it for it to become that thing of value. Yeah. And so that's the way our culture has been. We need to look deeper into our music, into our culture, our fashion and everything, and storytelling. Our fathers used it, our forefathers used it, which brought the fact that, okay, this person had to be an elderly person, this character needed to be elderly, and the name Wura is gold as well in Yoruba. And so it was a merge of how do we get a grandmother that merges the old and the new, the ancient and the modern. Because we will not be able to tell our children these days the stories the way they told us under the moonlight. You tell a child, come and sit under the, they just look. Under very big tree. So how do we bring the old and the new, merge it together so that they can easily accept it? Yes.
What was it like the first time you shot the Grandma Wura story? What was it like? What are the challenges you faced and all of that?
Oh, let me tell you, very, very... one of the things, I started in my living room.
Oh, great.
There wasn't a lot of funding because, as you know, a lot of the entertainments that we give to our children are imported. So our children watch a lot of imported content. Exactly. And so when you're talking about locally produced, even the platforms, the media platforms, they look at you like, but we didn't allow that, set us back. We just made sure we did what we're going to do. There wasn't funding for it because we weren't paying attention to children's funding because anyway, we would always import it. And so we had to start with what we had. And I looked at myself, what do I have? I have Grandma Wura, I have a living room, a space in my living room, and I am a creative person. And then I built my set, called the painter, called the carpenter, do this, do that. Got some papers, had my kids. They were very young then. They just helped me out.
So
cut
your
paper.
Kids are your audience?
Oh, they were not my audience. So my kids have worked with me since they were like 4.
Oh, okay.
They would be in the studio when we had to do sound, whatever, and they would do all of those things. They sang. So, we have proverbs that are done in sing-along songs. Yeah. They were the voices behind that. And as my children began to grow, my daughter began to go into production as well. Yeah. My son actually is the one who does the sound design for all the work that you hear today. Wow. I don't know if you saw, you heard some of them.
Yeah, I heard some of them.
They're able to bring in, the feel they watch from Disney and the African percussions, and they merge. It's always about merging the new, the old, making it very African. So it's, and I now have kids that worked with me when they were so young, when we were doing the theater stage production that is so big now. But we started small. And I have some of them interning with me. Wow. Yeah, so the idea has always been raising a new generation of workforce.
Oh. So that means at least now you can even take the story beyond you, even when you probably have gone. Somebody can still take on this and continue the
Absolutely.
Pushing. This is amazing. What I wanted to ask, what are some of the most interesting stories you've told on your channel that you yourself really, really enjoyed? And of course, I enjoy all of them, but which one really is very memorable to you?
I actually enjoy all of them, but I will take one that, we always use. Every school, all the schools we have toured, wherever Grandma Wura is, if you're meeting her for the first time, you must hear that story because that is the basis, that is the story upon which our idea is built upon, which is raising a new generation of leaders. And it is a story about the little girl who wished that she was an ant.
Oh, okay.
And the wind of wishes actually brought that dream to pass.
Wow.
And then she became an ant.
Oh.
But it didn't stop there. She now realized that being an aunt was a different ball game entirely.
Okay.
She learned from the ants how they built their own colony with certain values that even nations and communities must learn from the ants.
Okay.
Even families must learn. If you want to build anything that's sustainable, learn from the ants. And so she learned all of those things. And that's a story that we tell to children in order to instill in them the value of building your own, not necessarily always wanting to jackpot or whatever, because where you jackpot into is the values of the ants that they have used in building those places. And that's why the progress and the development is sustainable, because they always program the kids in that same fashion. And that is the way Nigeria must begin to see the children, the generation that are coming after us. You must begin to instill certain values into them to grow. I mean, our forefathers used storytelling to shape culture. Right. They used it to build communities. Right. It is still as potent as then. That's right. But then you can begin to do it in a different way, digitally, whatever it is you need to do, through theater, through musicals and all of that. But make sure you're telling the story. And the children are being programmed, they are being transformed to be able to become that future that we are looking at.
That's right. Do you think because of the socioeconomic challenges we have today, or the hustle and bustle that we have today, that has made us to lose the value of storytelling? Because even though, let's say we even get the content, so what happens, you put it on your tablet, your kids are just there watching it by themselves or enjoying it. You are not actually the one telling the story. So, but growing up, the practice was your parents
telling you
that story, and then you get to ask them a question and then they get to answer. But do you think because of the challenges of life we have to make, or the society today that has made us, because we want to look for money, that has made us to lose that attitude or that character or that lifestyle of storytelling to our kids? Or do you think there's any other factor behind it?
I mean, parents have become more burdened, recently, or for how recent is recent? Society has changed, basically. People are more career driven, and they struggle with parenting, right? And so we just looked at it and said, okay, you know what, how do we help? It's always about preferring solution. Yeah. The parents might not necessarily be there to really watch. I was very intentional about, even when my kids were watching content, I sat down, I watched enough animation. I would sit down, even till now, when they're watching things like anime, I sit down and because you want to know what the child is ingesting. Before you begin to see strange behavior, when even something strange comes out from the child, you're talking to your child. I talk with children. Intentional parenting, you've got to be very intentional. But it's, we also do realize that a lot of parents don't have all the information about parenting. So that's one of the reasons we brought up Grandma Wura. How can we help? I'm sure we still do it. When parents go for a mugo, we go ask, Mommy, when are you coming to help me? You have to be around. Yeah. I have a grandparent that just left Lagos yesterday to the UK to go and help with the baby. So all of those things happened. And so how do we get a grandmother that everybody can have that helps them with, training the children? And that was what it was back in the days as well. Children would just say, you're going to your grandmother's house, or one child is misbehaving abroad, they'll say, you're going to grandma in Nigeria, And in grandma's house, you will learn language, you will learn how to cook, you will learn ethics, you will learn values, you will hear the proverbs, And so that's what Grandma Wura symbolizes. She's a solution, actually, for parents. And and one of the things we also tried to do, that was one of the reasons we had story theater with Grandma Wura. So that we could have a theater musical that parents can come in and be entertained and relax, take away the gadgets and the phones and all of that, and just sit down and have something to talk about on your way home as a family. And you know, that would now remind David about, oh, when I was little, I used to listen to stories, and then you tell your children about it because they want to know your childhood and how you grew up.
That's right. In fact, I posted on my status the other day, I said I wish my grandfather, my father, and mother that they documented their life growing up.
Oh my God.
I wish, because it is something that I would have loved to watch now, because that's the kind of thing that I like to watch. I want to watch and see how was their life like and all of that. Unfortunately, none of my parents are alive, so I can't even ask them the questions in their own gone.
I remember in those days when I would tell my children stories, and then then I'd not even started Grandma Wura. I just realized they loved listening to stories. It was actually therapy. It's actually therapy. Storytelling for kids is therapy for them. And so they would always say, Mommy, you're going to tell us a story this evening. I told them all the story. I told them Ijakpa's story. I told them everything. After a while, the story started finishing. And then I now jumped on my own story. I started telling them about my childhood. And sometimes I could even fall asleep. I would sleep off of the bed while I'm telling, because so they wake up the next morning and say, Mommy, you slept off while you were telling the story.
You know, we didn't finish the story yesterday. We'll continue.
So, yes. So you've already found out from your son that he likes, gadgets and everything. And which is what we're doing with the Grandma Wura Hub, which is an app right now.
Okay.
The app,
tell us about it.
Yes, so that app is there to actually help partner with the parents and partner with schools as well. So the children, there are different educative faculties. Like I was saying, I said, anything you want to teach that child, just put it in a story, even if it's science. Put it in a story. If it's about insects, it's about technology. Put it in a story. They will listen to it. As long as it's something that they're interested in, it's a topic they're interested in. Like you rightfully said, you said, oh, you would now, tell them, they now have a way of, sinking it into some sort of value or something that they can learn from. Because everybody's wired for a story, right? And so that hub, in the hub, we have different faculties, and we're going to come up with more faculties. We have the HQ, which is where children actually go to learn about values and everything. They learn how to spell it. They learn how to, what proverbs actually, work with the particular value. They learn sing-along songs on the same proverb. Okay. They learn all sorts of things in the HQ. And those are parts of the app that schools can use, because I do know that in the national curriculum, there's something like moral education. There's also civic education as well. That particular aspects of the faculty helps as an enhancement for those subjects. Then we also have the spotlight, where children who are interested, you notice that children love to sing and dance, act these days. Everybody's like a superstar. So we help to enhance their talent in the spotlight. So the spotlight, the children learn from the Ant Queen and EG, how to dance, how to sing, character, how to get into character, what acting is, introduction to acting, voice modulation. They also learn how to sing in the singing arena in the spotlight faculty as well. Then we have other faculties like Echo House, where they learn about environment, how to protect environment, climate change topics, and everything from singing tree. So as you see, we've created different characters that make them like, imagine what character is this? That just amuse them, but those characters are dishing, what is it now? The lessons to them. And we're also going to have the culture court. So it's an app, it's ongoing right now. We're building different faculties. Okay. We're going to have the Taste Academy, where they can learn how to cook as well. So it's also capacity building as well, infused into it. So parents are encouraged to take advantage of something like the Grandma Wura Hub. It's almost like taking your child to grandma's house.
So how do we get access to it? How is it? How do people get access to this hub?
Yes, it's based on subscription, so you can go to...
Where do you find it?
Yeah, so it's a web... It's not yet it's not there yet, because we're still building. So it's web based. Okay. So you can go to www.grandmawurahub.app.
Okay.
Yes, and just subscribe into it
subscribe
and see everything that we have.
Okay. I wanted to ask, so in the flip side of that, do you also do like a summer class or something like that?
Yes.
Let's say during summer you gather kids physically to teach,
Oh.
not the app, not the web.
Oh, we've always done that over the years. Like I was telling you, we have a training academy. So the name of the company that actually created Grandma Wura, which is a company that I co-founded, is called Proud African Roots. That's the name of the company. So we are the creators of Grandma Wura, of Singing Tree, of Kojo, different characters. Grandma Wura is one of our characters and the most popular one. And there are more characters coming on the way, you know. So we also have the Proud African Roots Academy, Arts Academy, where children come to learn to sing. You know, I was telling you that the children go on stage with professionals and everything. Those are kids that we've trained in the academy.
Can you gauge or can you measure the impact your work has created? Because I know you're creating a lot of impact, but is there any way you can measure some of the impacts your work has created? Or people come up to you to say, wow, this story changed my life. Or my kids really started learning a lot. Or can you measure some of those impacts?
The way we're able to even measure, it's been a funny journey. Funny, David, it's really been funny. What we can measure are the things that we have direct access to, right? While sometimes when you work with media platforms, they're a bit not very generous with showing their numbers. But we do know people are coming to Grandma Wura on Instagram to say, thank you so much. My child is always watching this on probably NTA, DSTV. Sometimes we have people coming in from Ghana, sending us messages from Uganda, because DSTV also reaches all of those African countries. So those are coming. So you know that you're reaching a lot of people because of the partnerships we have with these amazing platforms as well. But you really cannot, because you don't have direct access to it. But the ones that we do directly ourselves, like the school tours, when we tour schools with Grandma Wura, we have thousands of children that we are reaching when we go to all of these schools. Some of them are being sponsored by brands and all of that. Then, you know, organizations, families that come to the theater, you have direct access to all of these people that come for the musical shows and all of that. And, you know, the schools where we basically even put up, you know, our musical theaters as well. So, yeah, you're able to actually measure through those other, yes.
Learn more or see more about Grandma Wura, there's a YouTube channel. I'll just put the link on the description. You can go there. Amazing, amazing story, the way she's telling. I'm telling you, you guys will get hooked. If you're someone that really, really likes storytelling or grew up listening to stories, things like that, it's something that you will really be impressed. And so I just want to talk about two things. But before I talk about it, the first would be, can you put on the Grandma Wura hat? Let's remove your hat.
Oh my goodness.
Put on the Grandma Wura hat and just do us a quick story on Grandma Wura. Because this is not Grandma Wura. This is a gentle character. It's a Grandma Wura character. It's very different. Put on the Grandma Wura hat and do us a quick story.
All right. Hello, children. Welcome to Grandma Wura's Story Hut, where my stories give you wings and fly you on an African adventure. Today's story is titled, I Wish, I Wish. Once upon a time, there lived a little girl called Nkechi, who always wished that she was an ant. An ant? Oh, yes. Nkechi wished so hard to be an ant and not a little girl anymore. Every time she would see an ant, she would say, look at that little ant over there. Okay.
I'm sure even my videographer has gone. So this is amazing. So you guys, you see what I'm telling you. So go to Grandma Wura's YouTube channel. You will be amazed. So it's not just something for the kids. Like I said, I really got impressed when I got in contact to see what you're doing. It's really amazing. So yes, let's keep up the good work. There are very few companies who are really telling the African story the African way. Even yesterday we were having this conference while I was chairing the panel. So that was one of the questions I have to ask some of the companies that came. Like, how do we ensure that the content we create, we also
Yes.
consider local relevance.
Yes.
So we use examples that are locally relevant.
Yes.
Instead of saying things, of course, I don't, like I said yesterday, I don't have issue with London Bridge. But instead of using London Bridge all the time, you can use things that
are relatable.
that relate here, that we can think about. We can say there's a Luma Rock. You can use the things that we know that things can relate, and also that's the way to teach them. And then than just using things that are far away. Of course, you can still use those things, but I always prefer we start from home. Start with things that are relevant.
Yes.
And these are the things you are doing.
It's also important that when we are creating our content for our children, we need to realize that their appetite for good quality work has actually increased.
That's right.
So it's important that whatever content we're creating for them is of high quality work that actually can stand at par with the globally. Yes, otherwise they will not be interested. They will just turn away. Yeah. And you know, these kids these days, they're so well over their ages and everything. So that's one of the reasons as well that we work so hard to ensure that we're creating contents that are very visually appealing. When you are even reenacting the things that are culturally, that you want them to know more about, portray them in the most beautiful colors, make them beautiful, make them aesthetically pleasing as well, and sound. All of those things are important.
Some of these things also require some kind of funding. So that even brings me to the issue of funding. So how has it been?
Over the years, it's not been a walk in the park. I told you, I had to start work in my living room. That's right. I had to start with what I had because in Nigeria here, we import all of our children's content. Nobody is looking to take content from a local media producer for children and all of that. They're not even looking at it. When you say, oh, I do children, they don't even want to look at it because they feel like it's going to be low quality work. However, there was no funding, and in the absence of funding, I had to use my personal funding. I had to look at what do I have. It's okay, what do I have? I have stories, I have Grandma Wura, I have this little space I call a living room, and then called a carpenter, painter. They still work with me till now. This was since like 2015, and they've been working with me over the years. I'll tell them, oh yeah, Baba, Mr. Wale, you will do you will paint this place. You not bring it. Red is to be by. Then we just did call my children. Okay, help me to cut that paper in pieces. Things I didn't even think I could do. I became a set designer. I became the storyteller. I became the producer. I was the prop creator. I was everything, right? And it was not easy over the years, but we've never stopped. Instead, we've continued to get better, and then we went on to green screen. And then recently, just for the app as well, we had MasterCard Foundation, yes, last year, who also gave $100,000 just for that app. So it just goes a long way that when you believe in something and you continue to work at it and build it, people will, somehow it will come. It will definitely come, but never stop.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so let's wrap up the story with this interview with maybe one or two advice, your final thoughts, why storytelling is really important, why parents should not let their everyday hustle and life pursuits make them miss sight of enjoying their children young age. For me, I feel that's the best time because I also look at my own life. I really enjoyed my dad and my mom company, but after my secondary school, I was a man of my own. I left them, and then for many years, my dad didn't even see me. When are you coming home? When are you coming home? So each time I look at my son, I always say, God, help me. I want to just enjoy him now. Because I know once after secondary school, I'm just gone.
Yes.
So I think sometimes parents, because of we are pursuing money, a lot of time we miss out our children growing up, and this is not the best. So as a mother and to soon be grandmother too, so that the Grandma Wura can be complete. So what advices would you have, just final thoughts you have for parents, why they should take storytelling take it very seriously, be more intentional about it and all of that?
So what I always say is the work you don't do today, you will do it tomorrow. You will still, that it will still come and meet you tomorrow. It will come and meet you either in a sad tale or in a beautiful tale, depending on what you do today. So if we tell our children stories and ensure that they have the right values that they need to take them through life as adults, you will not have issues about weeping over them tomorrow or just running helter-skelter because, okay, they're in trouble or you need to. You just know they can find their own feet because you have created the right foundation. And it also helps you at the end of the day. Even storytelling, it's a bonding tool. It actually bonds you to your kids. It bonds your kids. The kids feel like they can discuss anything with you because even those things you want to discuss with them, but you don't know how to say it. You can put it in a story and just use it to pass the message. That was what our forefathers did. When they say, this child, it looks like this child is going to be lazy. This child, the tail is not looking okay. So just create one story of how this boy was so lazy and then something. When the child starts, they keep hearing the story in their hearts, in their minds, in their spirit. You've ingrained it. That you must have the value of hard work. And the thing is, storytelling helps a child know how to think and how to take decisions because they have seen characters who have been faced with certain situations and how those characters maneuvered or how they took wrong decisions and the repercussions of those. So it teaches them how to think and how to take decisions, as adults, even as children, because they now know what they should do. And you can leave them, go to school, let them go to school, and you will know that peer pressure would not be an issue because you have done the own work.
That's right. In fact, now you're talking, it reminds me of my childhood. So let me tell a story that even my wife doesn't even know. Nobody knows this. Growing up, I used to watch a lot of cartoons. One of my favorite cartoons then is called Voltron.
Voltron.
I'm sure my videographer would not know since I was new schools. So I used to watch a lot of
Defender of the Universe.
So that's because then when I go to school, there's this boy that always bullies me. He always bullies me every time. Then one day, I now watch this Voltron, how they defended the universe, overcome, and then got to the So when this boy came to bully me that day I was like, I shouted, Voltron! I jacked the guy and he slapped him on the I never forget that.
Oh my God.
I'm saying it to that. I'm saying it for almost 40 years.
Oh my God.
He came to bully me that day and looked at me and said, Voltron! I just jacked him.
Oh my goodness.
So that's good. After that day, the guy was afraid of me. He never came close to me.
Never. Voltron.
So the point is, I defended myself that day. So defender of the universe. So the point is, the cartoon I watched actually gave me courage.
Yes.
Changed my character, removed me from being timid and all of that. So it's really important that we watch. So even though it was a positive story for me, it could also be a negative story for someone else if the person is watching something negative. So this is why I think it's very, very important we, take the content our children watch very, very important.
Very,
so
very.
This is why I decided I just really want to do this interview with you because what you're doing is amazing. But I know there are many people who haven't even heard, like I was asking my videographer, have you heard of Grandma Wura? So a lot of people need to hear more of what you do. And for those of you who want to partner with her, please check the description of this video. Reach out to her, partner with her, take her to your children's schools, children's birthday. I'm sure you can go there with your Grandma Wura something.
Absolutely.
And people will be very excited and people learn a lot. And look at yesterday's story you told us about ants and people were, So this is something that I think we should get more involved, more parents should get more involved, and the world will become a better place if the home is a better place. If the home is, the kids are not brought up properly, we'll have armed robbery, kidnapping, prostitution, and all of that. But if a child grows up with the right value, have learned from his parents, looking at what his parents are saying and doing, I'm sure that you have a better child. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all you're doing.